So apparently you guys really enjoyed that George R.R. Martin video to the point where it's kind of become one of the biggest videos on the channel right now. So I decided to do something a little bit different and a little bit on cue here as opposed to, doing something different or something completely different. But it's also something that's been on my mind as of late, and I kind of wanted to share my thoughts with you all on it. So let's just dive into it, shall we? He's another author who has a book that's supposed to come out that we're all waiting on, and it's nowhere near finished. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Patrick Rothfuss. Now, let me just say this up front. I do not want anything, nothing against Patrick Rothfuss. I mean, he's got his creative writing process and all that. And I'd rather the book be good and, have great prose like he normally does and all that, instead of having a rush job or something bad. So, yeah, I mean, no disrespect to Patrick Rothfuss or anything like that, but I'm still a little frustrated when it comes to his series of books, and we're just going to dive into it, so let's just talk about it. Now, Patrick Rothfuss is a man that needs no introduction when it comes to booktubers or anybody book-related. However, if you are not in the booktube sphere, then you're probably asking, who is this man with the giant beard that looks like a wizard from Lord of the Rings? What's his deal? And of course, I'm joking. It's the most respect on this man. He has a great beard, though. I am jealous of it. But anyway, this is an author who wrote, according to many people, some of the best fantasy novels of the past decade. Probably even the past century, honestly. Like this budding new century, according to many people. He wrote The Kingkiller Chronicles. This is a supposed book trilogy consisting of The Name of the Wind, The Wise Man's Fear, and a couple of novellas and short stories, and is supposedly supposed to end with The Doors of Stone. And it's actually pretty interesting what it's about. And it's about a man named Kvolth. I don't know. I never really heard the name out loud necessarily, but apparently he's an infamous adventurer and musician telling his life story to a scribe. And it's a story within a story and all that. And it's kind of weird. It's like it kind of tells a lot of different stories that evolve into the main plot in one way or another. And it kind of explains the whole reason why it's being told in first person, which I gotta say, that's a really nice trick. And I'm kind of jealous of it. But there are some great prose and there's some great chapters in it. I've recently started reading this book, and it is absolutely just mesmerizing the way Rothfuss just writes words and all that. I don't know everything that happens within this book because I don't know. I try to keep away from spoilers. Don't spoil it for me. But anyway, I don't know. But so far, it kind of seems like it's a more upbeat sort of version, more fantastical version of Game of Thrones. Prose-wise, story-wise, it's also kind of a little bit cleaner, I think. I'm not positive. Not positive it's going to stay that way. I'm not sure exactly. I know it's not for, middle schoolers or whatever, but I don't know. It just seems a little bit cleaner. I don't know if there's going to be, more sex or whatever, but I don't know. We'll be surprised, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be surprised at the end of the day. But apparently, no one is really jumping at the chance to read these books because, like George, he released his last main book in his gigantic series, which was The Wise Man's Fear, if any of you are kind of thinking about it, in 2011. The same year that Game of Thrones premiered, and the same year the last Game of Thrones novel came out. Very intriguing. I'm kind of suspecting whether or not aliens came down and zapped some of the famous artists and decided to not make them do any real, work in their main stories or something. I don't know. That's a little bizarre. So this video, unfortunately, is going to be a little bit shorter, mainly because, unlike George, who gets hammered every single time he's on in an interview or something about the Winds of Winter, this guy, he kind of evades a lot of the questions and stuff like that about his books. Recently, apparently, he's come out to talk more about the book and whether or not he'll be, releasing it and all that. But, I mean, until this point, he's really not mentioned a whole lot about his books, or whether or not this third novel, The Doors of Stone, I don't know where that comes in, but we'll figure that out. The Doors of Stone is supposed to come out. Now, he's promised a lot, maybe once or twice, but he's never really put it in stone. He's kind of said maybe he'll get it out maybe in a few months or something, but it's been a few years now and it's not coming out. So there are a few main sort of things that kind of happened involving the Doors of Stone, and we'll just dive into it and see about all that. So first little thing that kind of happened was that apparently Patrick Rothfuss does this charity stream every Christmas and stuff, which I'm not against. That is perfectly fine if he needs a break in between, writing and stuff, which, I mean, I used to write essays for school and all that type of stuff. I'm actually an English major, so I wrote a lot. So I'm gonna tell you right now, I needed a lot of space and time in order to write all these essays that everyone tried to push on me and stuff. So I totally get it. I mean, if he does this, that's fine. It's for charity, he's having fun, whatever. But apparently, I guess it was a few years ago now, he mentioned that if they get up to this fundraising goal, then for charity, and his charity specifically, then he will release the first chapter of The Doors of Stone. He'll read it out to everybody or something. And yeah, everyone did it, and they far exceeded that amount. And it's 2023, and there is no signs of that chapter coming out. Apparently, Rothfuss wants to do it with a whole cast or whatever, with the different people and all that. I don't know why he is doing this, because I don't remember him mentioning that in the little stream thing he did, or any of the other people who said that he did this. I mean, I would say just release the chapter, or at least, release a rating. Just read it on stream or something. And it's been a few years since he promised that, and it hasn't really come out. The only thing that I can really think of is that he isn't done with the first chapter yet. After over 12 years of writing, I don't think he's ready for the first chapter to go out quite yet, which is kind of interesting. And I get it, right? He's a perfectionist. He writes to the nth degree with his perfectionist mindset. I get it. That's fine. But if you promise something, then you're going to have to deliver. It doesn't necessarily matter if it's perfect or whatever, you just release the thing. Just release the chapter. In writing, you don't have to read it. If you want to read it, go right ahead. I don't know. Just you made a promise. People paid money for it. Do it, I mean, gonna have to now. I don't know. But then we get to this other sort of controversy, which I don't necessarily agree with, and that's this. Apparently, he also has been doing a lot of promotions and stuff. Like, he's been selling a lot of board games and stickers and whatever. And fans have been saying that he's been milking his franchise because he'll never get this amount of publicity or fans after he releases his final book in his series. Now, I don't necessarily agree with that, because if he finishes his trilogy, then there will probably be more eyes on him than there are not on him right now. And also, I think this is sort of also him kind of branching out his franchise and, taking a break from writing a whole lot. Because if I wrote as exquisitely as him, my brain's gonna get tired, okay? And I mean, every once in a while is one thing, but just doing this or just having all this stuff is a little repetitive. And I get that sentiment as well, The third biggest thing that kind of came out of this whole situation was his publisher or his agent or whoever she was or is. I don't know. But anyway, this person came out on Twitter a while back answering a couple fans' questions about whether or not we're going to get the Doors of Stone. And she's apparently said, to be honest, she hasn't read a single word of Rothfuss's book and doesn't think that he has written anything for 12 years. But she'll be really excited to see it and read it, and she will love every word of it. I don't really think that was necessarily a good thing to do. Not necessarily all that professional, because, you kind of have to keep your business life and your private life secret. Or separated, not secret, separated, It's not... I get it, a lot of people are frustrated. I mean, I would be frustrated if I was a big, huge fan of these books for, a decade or so, and all that type of thing. But, I mean, there's gotta be, a separation here, right? I mean, you gotta have a level of professionalism when it comes to this thing. Can't just go on Twitter and say, oh yeah, I haven't watched these movies even though I'm supposed to edit them. Whatever, that's not professional. That's a little scummy, honestly. But to be perfectly fair, since she's said that, Rothfuss has come out a lot more talking about the Doors of Stone, which I gotta say, I mean, if there's any good to come out of it, it was that. So at least we got that. Also a bonus situation that I just now remembered. And you might be wondering, well, if these books are so good, then why don't they have a movie or TV show or something like that based on these books? Sort of like The Wheel of Time, or The Witcher, or Lord of the Rings, or Game of Thrones, or all these other books. Well, just so happens, there was going to be one. Back on the height of Hamilton's status, Lin-Manuel Miranda was going to write the music, and I don't know if he was going to star in it, but he was attached to this project based on the Kingkiller Chronicles that I believe, if I remember correctly, Lionsgate found the rights to it, and then I think another studio is going to make it. I don't remember that, but if you guys want to tell me all about it in the comments below, I think you guys know more about this than I do, but I know Lionsgate was connected somewhere. But anyway, it was told that these movie studios were getting ready to make a movie series based on these books, and Lin-Manuel Miranda was going to write the music for it because he's such a big fan of these books. Lynn and Rothfuss even had like a picture together, and they were apparently good friends. But as of late, the project has stalled, and the rights went back, I believe, to Lionsgate, who is now trying to think about how they're going to make this movie, or if they're going to make this movie, or if they're going to auction off the rights again. And Lin-Manuel Miranda has left the project as of 2021. Now, I don't know exactly what happened, and I could be just dead wrong. This might be gossip, I don't even know. I don't want to gossip around, but this just seems like they were ready to make a trilogy of movies akin to the Lord of the Rings, but Rothfuss didn't have the final book ready to be published, so they just decided to stop making this franchise. And that right there doesn't make sense. I mean, if you are going to have your book series made into gigantic movies, why would you not finish your book? So no, I don't think he's milking this for money like he is with all these board games and stuff like that, but because he would make more money and he would have more involvement and more get catapulted into the stratosphere if he were to finish the trilogy. So no, I don't think he's holding off on writing this book so he can capitalize on his fame and fortune, That right there is kind of proof that he's not. He's trying his best. I know he's gone through a lot of stuff, starting a family. Both his parents sadly passed away, going through some mental health stuff. I get it. I understand that. And a lot of times authors they need the correct mind space in order to write their books. However, it's been over 12 years, and just like George, I'm kind of still waiting on it. We're not supposed to expect anything out of the authors. They're not our bitches, they do their own thing. The book will come out when it comes out, fine, but I'll tell you, I think a lot of movie studios and stuff like that kind of learned their lesson with the Game of Thrones to not greenlight a book series unless they know 99.9% sure that these novels will come out and they are on a release schedule and they will for sure come out. Because look what happened to Game of Thrones, it kind of sputtered and died in front of our eyes. Wheel of Time is another whole thing. I mean, that series is ended and all that, so I mean, they can make a series on that, whatever. The Witcher has also ended. Lord of the Rings has also ended, so those are financially stable and they can be made into series if they so choose. But Rothfuss's book series, I don't think will be made into a movie series or a television series or anything like that, at least until his final book finally comes out. Once that book comes out, then we will know the name Patrick Rothfuss a lot more than we are right now. Because then, as soon as that book has a official release date from publishers, then you're going to be seeing, oh hey, they're greenlighting this movie. Oh hey, they're greenlighting this, mini-series based on his novellas that he also released under the King Killer Chronicles and all that stuff. Because whether we want to accept it or not, he is a fabulous writer, and his prose sings. The only thing is he's got to buckle down, and he's got to, write, which, again, he's got other priorities, he's got a family, he's got his mental health and all that, and I get that. But, I mean, writing this book and releasing it could help him, you never know. So just like the George R.R. Martin video, I'm going to give my take on whether or not I believe this book is going to come out. And to be honest, I have no idea. I mean, I know that he's releasing a novella very soon, like within the next year or two, about it's in the King Killer Chronicles saga type of deal and all that. I saw one of his streams that he did where he was announcing it and all that, which is pretty exciting. So he's getting back into the world and all that. Great. Thing is, he needs to focus on this one series. He needs to focus on the main books. I don't understand why George does this or Patrick does this. It's just infuriating, honestly. So, honestly, if I had to give a rating for this, I'd give it a 50-50 shot. Because here's the thing, he's not as old as George, so time is more on Patrick Rothfuss's side than it is with George. He also doesn't have as much to deal with than George does, although he has a lot more than I do, but he has far less to deal with than George does. I hate to say this, the only way this is going to happen is if he buckles down and does it. I mean, take care of your kids, take care of your mental health and all that, but also, write the story. But of course, your kids and your mental health, of course, comes first, but still, just write the story. But anyway, though, guys, I want to hear what you guys have to say about this. Do you think Patrick Rothfuss is going to succeed in writing his last novel, The Doors of Stone, in his King Killer Chronicles series? I give it a 50-50 shot. What do you guys think? Comment, let me know. Don't forget to subscribe and ring that bell. More vids come your way, and hey, take care, guys.